myself out of my apartment. And it's so late.
That's right. We watched Eraserhead this week on The Movie Gap, the podcast that has you scream.
How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that?
How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? How have you not seen that? Little darling, how have you not seen this?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Movie Gap. I am your host, Chase Austin, and as always, the premature sperm baby calf thing to my left, Bryce Perkins.
What's up? Or, right?
If you watched
Somebody shut that baby up!
If you watched it with subtitles, the word is muling.
Oh, really?
Mules.
I did watch it with subtitles, but I didn't notice that.
Well, we are joined this week by a special guest, first-time friend of the show,
An instant fan favorite.
An instant fan
as that
favorite.
goes.
Cole Triplet, right?
Yes, hello.
I said it right.
Right?
I said it right.
I think so.
For some reason, all day I was like, so when's Trevor gonna call in? And Bryce's like, who's Trevor? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know why I decided your name was Trevor. So, sorry about that, Cole.
Got to be the greatest introduction of a guest on a show. Welcome everybody, Cole Triplet. Did I say that right?
That's right. Did I get that right?
Automatically looking for approval.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm terrible with names. So, Cole, you're here to promote your TikTok, correct?
Yeah. Never thought I'd be in this position, but here we are.
Well, I'm excited. We're getting into the TikTok game ourselves. So,
Nice.
So what is your handle?
I'm at _bop64_. So that's BOP 64. And yeah, I basically just post like a comedy video every day. Use a lot of green screen if you're into going somewhere that's not on Earth, as many of us are right now. So
Right.
Awesome.
I saw your pictures of your recent trip to Colorado. They looked really fun.
I took a very real trip to Colorado.
Yeah.
Posted about that.
Yep.
So that was fun.
Yeah, it was excellent. Cole, so you've been making content, as they call it, for a few years now. When did you get started, and where'd you get started? How'd you get started? Where'd the bug come from, if you will?
Okay.
Give us your path to fame, as it is.
Well, I'm not there yet, so
Okay.
let me know the end there.
Gotcha,
But
okay.
I'm 23 and it's 2020, so I guess I started in like 2010. I was in junior high when I started doing improv, and I really liked it. And then like I went to a private school through 8th grade, and in 7th grade they cut our theater program because we didn't have enough money. So only like 6th and 7th grade I did improv. 8th grade I had nothing, and then into high school I started going to public school where you can do whatever the hell you want, and it was great. And so I went back really into comedy, and my parents, I was like really interested in using all my time for that. My parents were like, well, we got a little bit of extra cash, and we were going to use it to maybe like go on a vacation, but instead we're going to like let you go to Chicago and do like an intensive at Second City for like a couple weeks. And so, and my mom was like, you go and do this, you either figure out if you really want to do it, or you'll know for sure that you don't really want to do this. And I was like, sounds like a great plan to me. So,
Wow.
Yeah, so I went and did like a sketch and improv intensive, and it was awesome. And
did you have any notable teachers or anything like that?
Scott Adsit from 30 Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was his nephew was in my class, and so he was like hanging around and helping out. But that my main like two teachers were just like performers at Second City, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I saw Chris Redd, who's on SNL right now.
Yeah.
He was performing performing at Second City at the time, so I met him as well.
Wow,
That's awesome.
That's fucking cool. And then we met through our adventures at Station Theater here in Houston, which sadly is under has succumbed to COVID, like many other local theaters and everything. What kind of cool things or whatever have you done since you've been active in the scene here in Houston? What would you say is your favorite thing to do here in Houston, comedy wise?
I'd say like as far as like Station and like Comedy Sports had like the Edu like show where they would just like let anyone submit. Like I basically just like Secret Group has some of that stuff too. I basically just look for places where it's like open submission. We just want you to come like and we trust you to be creative and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really like making like sketch prov type shows where there's not like a full script, but it's just like a big old like bit type show. Like I don't know. I like really having a lot of fun with that. I did a show at Station where it's just like I promoted it as like this big improv troupe from Cleveland was coming down, and then they ended up like only one of them showed up, and I made a bunch of videos around it too. I like including like different formats too, like I'll play like a video in the middle of the show, and then also do like one man stuff, and then bring up guests or audience members. I really like. I don't know if it's like a jack of all trades type of thing, but I've always wanted to just like always be doing every type of comedy all the time, you know? I don't know if that's like indecisiveness or just like I really love it all, but I really try to do just about everything.
Awesome.
You get the passion for it.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
really
and then
cool.
Quickly, you the first time I saw you perform at Station, you were doing you were in the middle of your run of doing Passed Away. And
nice.
I thought it was a really cool format for an improv show because it was like you were doing a podcast, but it was in a live setting. But you did it as if it was a podcast, and it was all completely improv. Tell us a little bit about that, and your co-host on that, I believe his name is Jeff. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jeff Anderson.
And you're still going live with those, right? Where can people catch that?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook and Twitch. On Facebook, it's at Passed Away Comedy, and on Twitch, it's Jeffrey Has Jokes. It's Jeff's Twitch page, and we go live like once or twice a month and do basically like comedy true crime podcast where we'll have 3 comedians on, and we'll try to solve like a fake murder by the end of the episode. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
That sounds awesome.
it's really cool what they're able to do in the format. So thank you for joining us, Cole.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chase, tell us. You've never seen this movie before, is that correct?
No. Okay. So Bryce,
Yeah.
as always, pretty much, except for next week,
That's true.
we have a surprise. We're going to flip the script a little bit, but every week we fill your movie gap with a movie that you haven't seen that for one reason or another, which has been basically every movie. This week we got a little more obscure, and we went with Eraserhead, the seminal David Lynch film, his debut. Some might say his masterpiece.
Yeah.
So Bryce, or actually, let's go to Cole first. Cole, had you ever seen Eraserhead before?
I have not.
So this was your first time watching it. What did you know about it, and do you remember like maybe the first time you heard of it or anything like that before having seen it?
I think it was on like early days of like when Netflix started streaming movies, because they picked up like a bunch of like, I guess like cult films like that. Like they had Rocky Horror early on. I just remember like, you know, the 20 movies or whatever they had in the timeline when you're scrolling through in the early days of Netflix.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it there a lot, and just seeing, you know, the main character's like straight up hair and being like, this seems weird. I don't know. I was just a kid into The Office at the time, so I didn't watch a lot of cult films, but yeah. And I knew David Lynch from, I watched some of Twin Peaks, and so I knew kind of his vibe going in, but yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Bryce, what about you? What did you know about Eraserhead going in? What did you know about David Lynch? I think you're a fan, correct? Somewhat?
Yeah. I've been wanting to. I mean, it's been a long time coming for us to dip into some David Lynch. He's one of those. He's one of those names of.
He's a very Malkovich name, where you're like, oh yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I know.
I was watching David Lynch. Oh yeah, I watch David Lynch all the time. Of course, yeah.
This person reads.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been wanting us to do it for a while because I've seen, or a good friend of mine, Kyle, shout outs to him. He showed me Mulholland Drive.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, let's watch Mulholland Drive. And so,
and when was this?
This was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
In the before times,
pre movie gap.
Right. Oh yeah, even that. Yeah. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I've never heard of this director. The title of the movie doesn't sound interesting. But then by the end of the movie, I was completely blown away.
You
became
had
an instant fan.
You had just found out about Meryl Streep from Devil Wears Prada.
Exactly.
So, like, you were.
Exactly. I was still had a lot of gap to fill there. And it blew me away. And then I got into Twin Peaks, of course. Like Cole said, like, you instantly become aware of the vibe,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really, but there's the majority of his filmography I have not seen. So I've been wanting to get into this, and I know that there's some that you haven't seen either.
Yeah, there are.
I've been especially interested in what you were going to think of David Lynch, knowing what you like about movies and stuff.
Yeah,
if you can like David Lynch or not.
I was interested myself. I had seen this. It's been probably 15 years or so.
Yeah.
It was one of the first. I remember it was one of the first movies when I went to college and I got my own Netflix account. And this was back when Netflix was just DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so I'd always heard of Eraserhead, and I thought it was like a horror film because I remember the people who would wear the Eraserhead shirts, which are just that, that iconic image of him with the pencil shavings behind his head or whatever. And like towards the very end, like that's the picture on the cover of the box and all that stuff. And people had that on their shirts, and those were the same people that wore, Rob Zombie and, Dawn of the Dead kind of stuff. So I figured this was just like a horror film.
Uh-huh. And you thought it was for metalheads exclusively.
Yeah, something like that. And I had
you're like Eraserhead, more like Metalhead.
In college, I was just getting into like more film stuff. Yeah, Metalhead, Eraserhead.
I loved Cole's head shake of approval / disapproval. Anyway,
but yeah, so I checked it out, and I remember not liking it and not really giving it another thought at all.
Yeah.
And then
I could see you being like, "Fuck this movie."
And I kind of like when we started the podcast, like it's been on the list. I'm pretty sure it was on the list from the beginning.
For a while, yeah.
And or at least for quite a while. And I keep being like, well, there's other movies. Mm-hmm. And then finally you were like, let's do Eraserhead, and I was like, okay, we gotta get it over with. And I rewatched it for the episode this week, and I gotta say I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like watching it for the first time,
right?
Because like,
okay, cool.
From the last time I watched it, I just remember I didn't like it so much I didn't even burn a copy of it.
Right.
And like back then, I was burning copies of every DVD I got.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, no, this one could just go back in the mail.
Yeah.
But yeah. So but let's get into it. I have a lot to say about this movie, just from a viewing standpoint. I got a couple of notes that I did some research on, and I think y'all do too. So let's get right into it.
Well, I will say that I did not realize what I was getting all of us into.
Yeah.
By the end of the movie.
I didn't
and
tell
I felt
you.
bad for you, Cole. I was like, well, by the time I finished watching it, which I'll go ahead and just say I love this movie, but by the time I finished watching it, I was like, perfect movie to have a guest on. Like, hey, do you want to come on our podcast and have a nice jovial conversation about a movie?
That's why I was surprised.
Eraserhead.
That's why I was surprised when Cole said he had not seen it until this, because when you said earlier this week, you were like, we'll do Eraserhead, I got us a guest, and I just totally assumed that you were like, hey, would you like to do Eraserhead with us because I know you love this film or something like that.
I know.
But
I
no.
just dragged him into it.
Couldn't be further from the
right. Yeah. It's kind of funny because in my head I was like, yeah, let's have Cole on, talk about some fucking David Lynch, and it's just like whatever. And then I got done watching and I was like, I don't I just want to sleep for 24 hours now. Like I don't fucking feel
So Cole, what type of movies are you more into? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you like comedy.
Well, and you're a little bit of a, filmmaker yourself. You make videos.
Yeah.
You've made videos on YouTube, all of which are very good. I mean, people can still check you out on YouTube, right? At Bop Bop, right, Cole?
Yeah.
You have a lot of content there that is all very, very worth your time. But you make movies as well. Did you feel like watching this? I mean, did you get any like kick out of watching the techniques of the editing or any shit like that?
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of like I took this German cinema class at University of Houston, and there's just like a lot of crazy shit going on in those like 1920s and 30s like early German movies.
Yeah,
and
it's very expressionist and especially with the lighting style. It's got the same kind of style of like Dr. Caligari and
exactly
Nosferatu.
I don't know what that word means.
But to
Bryce
answer
plays, sorry, that was Bryce playing a sound effect that you can't hear. That's why I laughed. I wasn't laughing at you. I apologize. I was not laughing at you. I was laughing at Bryce.
Yeah, we should have warned you about that. But anyway.
But yeah, to answer your question of like what movies generally I'm into, I mean, there's movies from like all types of genres I like, but currently like this may be a little surprising. Like my favorite movies right now are probably like in like the Greta Gerwig type stuff, like Lady Bird and like Little Women.
Okay.
I love like I like no joke. And like it just it specifically like Lady Bird reeled me in with like the drama and the realism of like mother-daughter relationships. I'm just into all the like not even like sappy stuff, but like going into a movie thinking it's like either going to be like a chick flick or like a sappy movie, but it ends up being like really solid,
realism and like something raw, I guess is what I would call it, right?
Sure, yeah.
Kind of like
have you
The Notebook, right?
Yes, exactly like The Notebook. We just smile and nod.
Yep.
Have you seen 8th Grade?
I have.
Yeah, I loved that one.
Oh, I heard about that one.
Yeah.
That
one was almost too real for me.
It was
like,
isn't it a
yeah.
big like a tearjerker kind of thing?
It's a lot of things. Yeah.
If you're not sobbing by the end of
it has it all.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then like it's also got from a male perspective, it's the dad raising like a single father raising a girl. So like I'm at that age of I'm gonna have kids hopefully, and it's like so I equate myself with him trying to raise this girl who's going through shit that I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine being a teen girl when we were growing up, and now with social media and everything, it's so much crazier. But
speaking of trying to relate to your children, imagine relating to your fucking weird alien parrot bird baby.
All right,
well, won't stop crying.
Let's get into the film, Bryce.
Okay,
what do you have to start us off with?
Well, I was very happy to see that because as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I'm sure you guys did more research on this, but this was his first full-length film.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
And he did it in film school, while in film school.
Started.
Or as a graduate project.
He started, he got a grant to make it, and it was like a $3 million grant.
Wow.
That ran out of money. He actually was making this movie for like 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. There was about a year where he lived.
He fucking started in like 71?
Yeah. And he like lived in the apartment that they used to shoot Henry Spencer's apartment.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, for a time. And like the guy that plays the man in the planet, the guy pulling all the levers or whatever.
I call him Wardy.
Wardy. Yeah. That is one of his like biggest financiers of the film.
Okay.
And his wife, that man's wife,
Sissy Spacek. I did hear that.
Yeah, she
and
also.
Who is that again?
That's the original Carrie.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. And then she was also a financier.
Yeah. Also from Hot Rod. She was the mother in Hot Rod.
Oh, was she?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that is
cool.
one of my favorite movies of all time.
Right.
So.
Likewise.
Man
yeah.
of the Planet, by the way, Jack Fisk. That's his name.
Oh,
in real life.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I was very happy to see. I was wondering, because of the fact that it is his first movie, I was wondering if it would have the Lynchian trademarks that I already loved, and was very pleasantly was pleased to see that it was evident very early on.
So what are some of those? What are some of the examples that you've noticed from what you are and that you're talking about that are in this movie?
So the biggest Lynch trademark is use. Well, for me anyway, the thing that really draws me in for Lynch, that I absolutely love about watching Lynch, is the use of time and sound to create atmosphere.
Yeah.
And not being afraid of space, of a pacing of sorts that normally people would be like, "What the fuck? Hurry up!" He uses that to his complete advantage to throw you off guard while fucking with the sound.
I mean, the first
no music, sound effects to keep you really in the pocket of what the fuck. It's like one of those, like, the absence of something draws you in. He's like the master of that.
Well, and I hate when people say things like the soundtrack is its own character,
right?
But like in this film, it's not the soundtrack.
No,
it's like the noises.
Right.
Yeah, just all that industrial stuff and the humming and the whirring, and it's just like it's too loud to a point where you don't even really notice it anymore. You know, because it's all that you notice.
Right.
And then you don't even notice how loud it is until somebody talks.
Right, exactly. And then when they do talk, it's like it's mixed so crisp where it's almost like an ASMR thing where you hear like every you know. But there's that, and then another trademark of his, which I was also pleasantly surprised to see, or happy to see, was in this movie, was his odd sense of humor and the way that he directs actors to act is very unnatural. He likes things to be abrupt. He likes people to act strange or say a line that would normally you would say it like nonchalant. They say it way over the top and act way over the top.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that in there, which I was very happy to see. And then not only that, but it was just on top of that, I should say, it was the subject matter was fucking way out there, which made it even cooler because it was more for him to play with, and you could tell he was he took very good care of the imagery and stuff like that. You know, took his time with it. I don't know.
To touch on the acting in this, and it's very there's a director, like contemporary director now, that did The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Right.
I have to pull it up. Yorgos Lanthimos, who does a very similar thing with directing actors to not like it's this movie kind of reminded me of that, but he does a much weirder thing where there is just no emotion and it's all very one note. Where this one it picks and chooses where it is. Right. But you know, it's weird. It's just a weird movie where the acting is, you're very aware that these are puppets for David Lynch.
Right.
That's how I feel, you know.
Absolutely.
So so what do you think, Cole?
You know, going into this,
just in general on this one first.
I'll just say, like, going into this, knowing it was a David Lynch movie, like, I expected some weird stuff. But if I hadn't, like, one thing I like about, like, surrealistic movies is I like if they're just, like, getting to this realism kind of early on. So, it, like, my brain can just be like, cool, I'm just going to, like, let whatever happens and not really, like, try to, like, you can figure out some of the stuff in this movie pretty clearly. But, like, I'm not going to, like, look for a clear, like, first, second, and third act structure, you know, like,
for sure.
But I'll tagging on to Bryce, I really liked a lot of the humor in this movie. Like, my favorite character probably in the whole movie is the dad talking about it. It's like, look at my knees and my damn limp arm.
Right. He's so proud. He's just so proud of how he's like, I can't feel it though. It's just-
And he can't like cut a chicken because of his like arm, and he's like, "You do you mind?"
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The-
and then the
the-
fact that the
the
chickens were
man-made
tiny.
chicken.
Yeah.
yeah. And it
Yeah.
squeals.
Well,
and
his
you try to,
his entrance was hilarious because you hear a door open, but you don't see him walk in, and then it just pans over to, or cuts to. There's an old man in the room. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Hi, how's it going?"
yeah.
And then just the pause, and it's like, okay, what the
and
fuck?
the movie it has
Instant LOLs.
Yeah, it has this whole erotic or feel or oniric. I can't remember how to say it, but it's very dream. Like
I don't
you
know what
feel-
that word means.
Yeah, if you feel like you're in a dream the whole time, like
Yes, big
this,
time.
This
It
really
does feel like a
feels
dream.
like you've had a fever for like 3 days and you haven't slept, and this is what you see.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, totally.
And then there's dream sequences in the film on top of it that you really can't
Decipher
what is what.
Yeah.
but like it's so weird. Like, okay, where are we and when are we is like the first thing I wanted to know. And then about halfway through the movie, my wife kept saying like, what is going on? I was like, you can't.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
If you have any questions about like who or what, or
Right.
is this really happening or is this not really happening, you're asking the wrong questions.
Right.
This is avant-garde.
You're gonna have a bad
just,
time.
Yeah, just watch it.
Right.
Yeah. But because like it is on a
It's an
planet
experience
that has people, and there's a time, and maybe this is like post-apocalyptic of some sort,
Right.
but it's not really clear, and I don't think it matters.
Right.
yeah.
So, but yeah, all right. So continue, Bryce. What else you got?
Well, let's see. I mean, you can see his Kubrick influence. I wrote that down. I mean, were you guys picking up on that? Definitely some Kubrick influence. going on.
Kubrick actually made everyone in The Shining watch this movie before they started filming The Shining.
Oh, great!
To get into the horror mindset.
Oh, that's another thing. This kind of like I felt like we could have like done this one for Spooktober.
Yeah, it's
I was
definitely
about
not.
to say,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a horror film,
Right.
but it is horrific.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I always said Eraserhead more like Metalhead, But so the very interesting. I don't know if Cole, you said you watched Twin Peaks, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if you picked up on this, and I'm sure you did because you're a very smart, perceptive gentleman. The carpeting in the hotel lobby or the apartment lobby or whatever was like almost the exact same
It's the same
pattern
set.
of the.
That's the same set.
It's the same fucking set of the Twin
Yeah.
Peaks, the Red Room.
Yeah,
Oh no shit.
Yep.
Okay, so that was
or
cool to
it's
see.
rebuilt to be that, but yeah,
Gotcha. Oh, okay. So I don't know. I just kind of enjoyed seeing that. His what do you call it? His aesthetic kind of has like
Bled over
spanned
into-
his career, and it
It's almost
seemed to have more of a
this may be
purpose
a
to it.
weird comparison, but like almost comparing it to like a Wes Anderson type like everything's pretty similar between like each movie, like the vibe you're gonna get. you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
yeah. I mean, Lynch, just like Anderson, it's very auteur. Like it's the same thing, and he works with a lot of the same people
Yeah.
because it's probably hard to work with him. He's very strange.
I would imagine. But Kyle MacLachlan seemed to like working with him.
Yeah.
And he liked working with Kyle MacLachlan. It's the LCU. What can you say? The Lynch, Cinematic Universe. It all
Yeah.
ties together.
Because of that room.
Yeah, because of that room.
I'll say this about Kubrick real quick. I also read that when David Lynch was making The Elephant Man, he got a chance to like meet up with Kubrick, and Kubrick told him that at that time, Eraserhead was like his favorite movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
That must have been insane to hear
God.
from
Yeah.
like
I know.
the guy you took a lot of stuff from.
Yeah, and especially about a movie that you did when in school, and it was
Well,
your first one, and
it
then
took
your
5
started in
hero.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It started
in school. Yeah, but for your hero to be like, hey, that your first attempt at it, it's my favorite fucking movie. Wow, okay, great. That'd be fucking cool. That'd be like if John Lennon came down and was like, hey, the first Jody demo is my favorite song ever. Or music.
The rest of it, utter shite.
Yeah, right. Which he would say. Yeah.
And the AFI, where he went to school and gave him his first like round of funding, they didn't want to make they wanted him to make a movie with them, but whenever he submitted this script, they were like, this is too like weird. I don't know if we want to do this. And the dean of AFI threatened to resign if they didn't make this movie.
Wow.
And they were just like, okay, big threat.
Well,
I guess you can do it.
Like in his first like ideas from this, it was like this ended up being a 20-page script, which everybody was like, that's not long enough. And then he had another one that was a 45-minute or like a 45-minute movie that was like more pages. And they were like, that doesn't work. That movie's going to be too long for this. So then he came back with this one, and they're like, now it's too short for feature. And it's very, but he did end up like, there was one, I read that there was one screening, an early screening, one that Terrence Malick walked out of because he thought it was trash. And there was
Terrence Malick again?
He's a director.
Okay.
But then there was one where he did a screening and he realized that the soundtrack wasn't loud enough, or it was too loud or something. And he's like, I just need to fix that. And after he got done fixing the sound levels, he'd cut 30 minutes. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he was always tinkering with it still.
Right. Wow. I could see that. Did you guys pick up on themes of abortion and stuff, or was that just me? I think there was a little bit of that going on there.
So the Lynch has never come out and said what this is about. He likes it. Of course, you do yourself. There's abortion ideas in there that people have come up with. The main one is that it's about fatherhood and fear of becoming a father.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's got this kid that he doesn't know. He's trapped in the room with him when the wife abandons him. And he's got this sick thing, you know, and like he can't even, there's that part where he can't even leave the room without, like he gets it calmed down when it's sick and he wants to go down and check the mail again or whatever. And like he starts to leave and then the thing starts squealing and he sits back down and is fine. And then he starts to leave and it's squealing. So he can't sleep, he can't leave.
Yeah.
You know, there's all that, that stuff. And he just like wants to escape, you know, he escapes through the radiator.
Right.
And then the woman is stepping on his sperm.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so like there's, that's the main takeaway, I would say.
Yeah.
From it. But
And
yeah,
David,
there's an abortion aspect to it too. What Cole?
I was going to say David Lynch, his daughter was born with clubbed feet.
Yeah.
And she had to go through a couple surgeries like after she was born. And a lot of people I was reading say that like that may play into it as well, like being born with like a child that has issues health wise.
Yeah, and she was 3 when he started making this film. And you know, so she was 8 by the time it was done, and she remembers being on set and like being a part of it, and she even had a part in one of the scenes that got cut where she was doing something with money down a grate or something. But she said that like she remembers her time on set, and she was like, it was great. Everybody was friendly. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't, you know, because it's not really in black and white,
right?
You know, on set.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said that herself that she thinks that a lot of her what he went through when she was being born and having the club feet has something to do with it too.
Oh wow. I mean, he cuts it open at the end.
Well, and like that could be seen as overcoming the fear. You know, like putting an end to that. Like the baby itself is the fear, and then going and accepting your own happiness with the moon woman. I call her the moon woman, the lady in the
moon face.
Yeah, the lady in the
cheese head
radiator.
Yeah,
but you know, it's what you think.
Of course,
you know,
right,
that's what these avant-garde things are.
Right.
You know, it's his art form and what he was thinking, and then it's so open to you being able to make whatever you want out of it.
Right. Which Lynch is just naturally good at. But that scene when he cut it open was kind of like, I felt bad for the, like, were you guys kind of like rooting for the weird alien baby by the end of it? Like,
well, I felt
bad for her.
I thought that thing was super cute.
Me too. Like by the end of it, I was like, no, it just wants to be fed and held.
Not when it was all sick. When it was all sick, I was like, oh, fix it.
It was so gross. But okay, so let's talk about that, man, because the I'm assuming black and white was a choice.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's also cheaper, especially then.
Also cheaper, sure.
But yeah, no, it was a choice.
But definitely an artistic choice, right? Because were y'all like taken aback by how great the special effects and everything looked, and how much the black and white played into how great everything looked?
Well, that's from the cinematography. And
right.
This is
I mean,
fantastic.
it's so fucking good. And then some of the like, it would like suddenly switch to like more of a I don't know if it was the lighting or film stock he was using, but suddenly people would look very pastel. It was like a different kind of black and white, and I don't know if that he was manipulating lighting to get that kind of a look on the tape or something, or on the film.
Like almost like they were glowing, kind of like where it's like foggy, like or not foggy, like they kind of glow.
No, it was like they're like it would look like a standard black and white, like what you expect black and white to look like, and then suddenly it looked like it was digitally made black and white, but it was like, you know what I mean, where it was like their skin was like realistic, and but it was like kind of a pastel, but the grain was gone from the black and white film.
Okay, yeah, that could be that could just be focus,
right?
Which would be intentional,
right?
I
mean, it had like
it could be film stock too.
You could tell it was deliberate because it would always like switch to that at a big moment or at a moment of change or something, and it had an amazing impact. But I've never like watched a black and white movie and felt like I was seeing something so fucking vividly, you know, without the absence, or with the absence of color. It felt like I was like watching something in high definition or something like that. It was, I don't know if I was just throwing it out there to see if you guys felt the same way about that.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and that is all intentional.
Of course. Yeah. And this is why he's like my fucking favorite. And I've told you that before, Chase, but breaking news, Cole, he's my fucking favorite, dude.
Breaking news, Movie Gap audience.
Yes. Movie Gap audience, exactly. But
that is news because it used to be Kubrick.
Yeah. I mean it's on any day, it could be either one of those.
And then of course, up until today, since we've been doing the Movie Gap, it has always been Oliver Stone. He is your favorite one.
Yeah, by the way, that's one of my notes. Take notes, Oliver Stone, dude. This is how you do
a pretentious movie.
Right, yeah. I mean,
don't get me wrong. This movie is pretentious.
Highly pretentious, but it's great. It's fucking great. And this is how you fucking, if you want to be artistic, you know.
Have you ever seen...
Nice try,
Cole, have you
Oliver
ever seen Natural Born Killers?
Haven't.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we watched that one, and Bryce hated it. So you'd have to check that one out.
It's a piece of shit. But anyway, but Oliver Stone has redeemed himself. I mean, he's made good movies. You know, fucking Platoon was a great.
Granted,
movie.
we did all the ones that he made that you like are before that.
Right. So. Exactly.
So he unredeemed himself.
Right. He the fucking song that Moonface lady sings at the end was just such a fucking powerful moment, and also something is a sort of a theme that you'll see throughout Lynch's filmography. He loves especially women singing something beautifully or whatever, and focusing on that. And so I thought that was cool. I mean, to see all that, I was just the thing. I mean, I was just happy to see that he's always had it. You know, was my favorite part of of this experience. But the special effects I saw were by him.
Yeah,
how about that? You guys got any fun facts on that shit?
He would cover up like people. Like he did not let anybody know how they animated the child.
I'd imagine there was an arm through the wall.
Well,
but then they cut it open.
They say that it's so hold on, I have an exact quote of what he has said about it. He said that it was born nearby, or maybe it was found. There are people that say it is a embalmed calf fetus.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and some people said a rabbit too.
Yeah,
right?
But nobody knows how he would animate that in that way. And you keep saying that he cut it open, and I don't think he cut it open. I think he cut the bandages off, and it has no
and
skin.
it split open.
Yeah, it's just the bandages are what holds it, which is why it never really moves. I keep looking because it's right behind us here, but man, that thing it looks so like all the parts of it that didn't seem real would be taken away once you saw its eye move, dude. You know. Like that eye was so real. I felt like it was, dude. Like they had somebody's real eye in there moving.
Right, I know that. Yeah, and I mean, there were shots where you look under the table. There's no one under the table, and it's moving around. That's why I was thinking maybe there was a hand in the arm. But the fact, I was thinking like, man, these practical effects are pretty fucking badass, and the ooze and all that stuff. It's very makes you uncomfortable. Very good. I wonder who did this, and I saw it was him, and I said, okay, all right, D.
Yeah, it's also something that, because when I was watching it again, I was like, this ran out of money? Like, what are they, like, you look at it, you're like, what did they spend money on? Well, the guy everything cost money.
The guy that was playing Spencer demanded, he demanded $3 million, so there was all the initial
that was
budget,
all gone.
Yeah, was to him.
$3 million just to show up.
Right, exactly.
Didn't they make the cinematographer cover they put a blindfold on him when they were setting up the puppet?
Yes, yeah, and when they were
oh wow,
yeah, when they were in the editing or when they were watching the daily or the raw footage on film or whatever to find what to cut and stuff, they would make the editor close his eyes or whatever so they could cut around the parts that were shot that would show how it was working. Whoa. Yeah, it's very secretive. Nobody really knows. Yeah,
man.
And,
in case he wants to make an Eraserhead too, I guess.
Yeah, the sequel.
Yeah. But yeah, I know, Cole. I know you said you looked up some fun facts. Do you have any? You want to just start spitfiring or anything like that?
Yeah. So one of them was the Kubrick one, but I will say I didn't know David Lynch was an art student before he got into film. He was an expressionist artist, and he would make 10-second stop motion to show off his art, and that's how he got more into film. So I guess it makes a lot of sense that he's had a lot of practical effects move into his projects and a lot of expressionism. It's kind of it makes sense, the transition, now that I know that about him.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Well, I mean, just all of the shots that are in this film are very intentional. There's nothing that feels like, oh, this was a happy accident, or, this is just the framing that we got. It's the length of the shot. I feel like he had it, when things go on too long or not long enough, it feels very much that's what you're supposed to feel, it's.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're all right over there?
Just doing an adjustment.
Okay.
I'm just moving my chair.
But I mean, there's this movie's only 89 minutes, and there's over 30 minutes just from the beginning and the end that has no dialogue at all. There's 10 minutes in the beginning without dialogue, and 30 minutes at the end without dialogue, and then the stuff in between, there's not a ton. It's basically the what did you text me the other day after you watched it? You're like, well, it looks like we're gonna have a wholesome discussion,
family friendly,
discussion about a family drama or a family picnic. Or
something.
I was looking up stuff about Jack Nance too, who played Spencer, and this dude had a pretty sad life.
Really?
So in the 90s, I think it was the 90s, he got married to 91. He got married to Dick Van Dyke's niece, and she was an adult film star at the time. And she ended up committing suicide. And it ended up, she called him to talk to him about how depressed she was. And then a lightning bolt struck Jack Nance's telephone line. And so the call got cut out, and she ended up just dying that evening. And then later, 5 years later, in 96, he got into a fight at a bar. And later, the next day, his friends were like, hey, you're not looking too hot. And he was like, yeah, I got to fight at a bar or whatever. And then he died of bleeding of the brain. And that's how he died.
Holy shit.
It sounds like a David Lynch movie.
Honestly.
I knew he died pretty young. And then I know that the original cinematographer on this was 35 and died in the middle of
Whoa.
shooting it, and they had to get another
fuck.
another guy. Yeah, he just and I don't have a note of how he died or anything, but you die at 35, something's up.
Yeah, right.
But
So maybe it's another cursed one of those cursed movies. You know? Maybe it's
and I know
The Exorcist.
I know that Jack Nance was married. His wife actually did his hair on this movie, and he partially blames her having to do his hair all the time as to possibly one of the reasons he ended up hating her and they got divorced. But I mean, they apparently they stayed friends or whatever. But
Sure.
But yeah, no,
He kept that hairstyle for 5 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
He's like walking around like, hey, remember me?
Well, he said that like
Eraserhead.
there'll be a part where he's sitting on the edge of the bed, or Henry is like sitting on the edge of the bed, gets up, walks across, opens the door, and when he opens the door, that's 2 years later. I mean, and there's parts when you're talking about focus and stuff. If you really look,
Because they were making the movie for that long. That's right. Wow.
And you
I didn't
see
even think
these
about
people age back and forth like 2 to 3 years sometimes.
Man,
Yeah.
that just adds to it, honestly.
that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole aesthetic and everything. Wow, that's crazy.
And I know that the giant baby head at the end, they made that in Lynch's backyard. Like where their neighbors could just see it.
Yeah.
The neighbors like, wow, they're painting some egg.
Yeah. Some egg.
Yeah, he's an artist, fuck him.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because that was like kind of a legitimately frightening scene, wasn't it? I was spooked out, man, by and it also kind of made me think of it felt like one of the like videos that you see when you finally get to the boss. You know what I mean? Like before you in a video game,
like
a
cutscene.
Like a cutscene that they play when you
see
finally
him dancing around.
Yeah, exactly. And you see like the way it flashed in and out of the darkness, and you're playing the game. And you're like, oh, this must be the boss. This must be the big guy. Yeah. It kind of
especially with
reminded
the
me of that.
transformation, like the neck that gets all longer. Before
Right. Yeah. Like
in a way, we saw Spencer fight the fetus at the end, so it kind of worked out that
got
way.
to the big boss. Yeah.
This was just
he thought that cutting the bandages was the final mission, but nope.
That's just the beginning.
Here's a cut scene. Oh, I got more, baby.
And then
he's transformed.
Then he dies, and when you die, you go to your game over screen with the woman in the radiator.
Ooh, nice. With Cheesehead. Yeah, she looked older and younger and shit too.
That was the scariest.
There she is.
Her right there.
Oh man,
that was the scariest part to me. I do not like that. Looking at that, I was like, no.
Yeah.
She was so expressive too. Her face was like really elastic.
The way she kept her eyes open like that and was smiling and made the cheeks puff even more, and the way she's just didn't blink, singing the song with the small steps and then squishing them and squishing the spermies and smiling at you.
Her name is Laurel Neer.
It's the only movie she ever did.
Laurel Neer, right? But she was also a singer, and she didn't sing that song. She just lip synced it. Peter Ivers was the guy who actually wrote it. That's his voice. That's why it's so weird. It's a dude's voice.
It's a real everybody dance now situation where.
Well, and I think it was the Pixies used to play that song in their concerts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I could see
doesn't
that.
it?
Well, they also speaking of the Pixies, small connection. Neighbor Will. I watched this movie with Neighbor Will, and he pointed out to me that in the song "Debaser," they reference a 1930s film that was kind of one of those German art house films that Cole was talking about earlier. The expressionism and stuff, whatever the whole like.
I don't know what that word means.
That stuff, and there was like I forget the name of the movie or whatever, but apparently it was an influence on Lynch. So Pixies apparently big fans.
Yeah,
So,
I mean
anyway.
it's like very artistic people tend to be really moved by this, and
like me and Cole,
it's one of those movies that when the first time I watched it, it was I wasn't
okay, and so
ready.
that's what I wanted to ask was you have been doing more and more film classes or that kind of thing. Has that affected your appreciation? Is that something that's affected how you can appreciate it a lot more now?
No.
Or do you think you're just growing older and wiser?
Honestly, doing the podcast has made me think about film a lot more than going to school will.
Cool.
I'm just trying to get that degree. But no, I mean, I've learned a lot in these film classes. A lot of terms and stuff, and then just forcing me to think about film in a different way is kind of that. But really, it's just like watching it, and because I used to watch it from a standpoint of like wanting to act in them, and then it was like wanting to make them, and now I'm to a point where it's just like I just want to appreciate it. I just want to like it.
Yeah, that's a good place to be.
And this one is a weird one, and my wife has gone through. So we watched this on Friday. Today's Sunday morning. She has gone through the weirdest turn where she keeps bringing this movie back up. So like when we watched it, she was like, okay, well, I hated that. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. And then by the time we went to bed that night, she was like, I don't know. I kind of liked it. And then we woke up the next morning. She goes, man, I hated that movie last night. Like that movie was so terrible. Yeah. And then the more she thinks about it, she goes, I really, really liked it. I never want to see it again, but like I kind of loved it.
Yeah.
I'll never watch it again.
Right,
if anybody says, hey, Eraserhead, you're like, I've seen it, but I liked it.
Right,
So,
right, yeah.
But that's kind of the feeling.
It is,
I
can totally see that.
Yeah, I could definitely, like if I had to write a paper over this movie, I could do that real easy. There's a lot to go.
And I'm sure there's been a lot of people that have. I'm sure there are like 100, 500-page theses on this movie,
or even just like I've had to write a lot of papers about like specific shots or like just a scene, like 7 shots or something.
Yeah,
and sometimes you're like, God, there's this is double indemnity. How much can I talk about one shot? Turns out quite a bit if you force yourself.
So when you look at this, let me ask you this. Better than Citizen Kane, more impactful than Citizen Kane?
No, I mean, it depends on who you ask, I'm sure, but
because look, I'm Orson Welles. I did a shot of a person in the background and in the foreground. Whoa, douche.
There's a lot more to it than that.
I know.
But,
You ready for Mank, Bryce?
Well, we're actually
we're getting what that is, but we were
we're doing Citizen Kane next week, so look for that, everyone.
Yeah,
but in preparation for Manx. But
is this the month of black and white?
Yeah, it turned out.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, and then it's Christmas. We're doing some Christmas stuff. So, but yeah, it's there's I don't know that you could compare the two because of just how narrative styles they are differently, and like one is a film the way we think of film, like or the collective we would think of a movie. The collective people, if you say, have you seen this movie, they go, even if they've seen it, they're like, that's not a movie. Like there's no story. If there is, it's very loose. Like Cole, like you were saying with the structure, the stuff he does with structure is just out the window from like by the book, if you will, But and then like the stuff that this kind of filmmaking influences, or that this films in particular, and David Lynch in particular, influences in other ways, is a lot of different things than just more ways of shooting film, right. Or more conventions of
it's
film.
Two different things. It's apples and oranges.
I mean, there's a lot that you could take, that filmmakers and stuff can take from this film and put into a more commercialized movie,
right,
and do something more interesting in a regular commercialized film. But there's nothing about this movie that is commercial or commercialized, or
no, absolutely,
even
for sure.
Even like, it's weird, it's almost not entertaining in that way, like watching it goes, when you're watching it, or when I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't want to, like it's very weird, that whole scene at Mary, is it Mary, his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend's house, Mary X, just that whole scene in her family's house is weird, right. With the her having a seizure, and then she's fine, and then her mom have the seizure, and then her mom going up and like making out with his neck or his face is just very bizarre.
It's great, but it's like a dream, like you were saying. But listen, Cole has a hard out at 2:30, So let's go ahead and get to some numbers and things. Cole, was there any final thoughts on this movie that you wanted to put out there, or any cool, interesting facts that you must talk about?
Just now that I'm thinking about it more, it definitely is more linear than maybe I tried to make it come across at the beginning. It does have like a beginning, middle, and end, but it's just like the everything in between, like how he gets there, that I think is like the staple of David Lynch. Which, like you were saying, I think a lot of people who can make like more traditional, I guess you could say, movies could take like a little bit here and there from him. And I think that's his great influence, is maybe like trying to make like future directors a little less like corporate movie making. Like even like, I don't know, I don't want to say like, you know, like Taika Waititi in the new Thor movie was influenced by David Lynch, but you can see how like he's not making a straight like ABC Marvel movie. Like everyone's trying to at least be different in their movies nowadays. I think some of that could be attributed to him.
Oh yeah,
certainly.
I agree.
And isn't it really just me and neighbor Will were talking about this while watching Eraserhead. Like, how did this fucking guy, like, Twin Peaks was mainstream huge in the 90s when it came out.
Well, it's because...
And it's the brainchild of this fucking guy. Like, how
many,
weird is that happened?
Yeah, so many people have been influenced by his work that are themselves influencers and have the money to put up, that they're like, this will work.
He's just one of those rare crossover guys that's gotten been lucky enough to experience, both ends of the stick, the underground and the mainstream part, and only still only being himself, and that's a great thing. I think it's a testament to his talents. Okay,
if you want to check in on David Lynch right now, you can check in on YouTube, and he is pulling a number out of a jar every day.
That's tight. Okay, that's sounds
literally
very
what
Lynchian.
He does. He has 10 numbers in a jar, or 9 numbers in a jar, and he shakes it up, and he goes, "Today's number is 8."
Tight. All right.
And then it goes, "What will tomorrow's number be?" And then you come back.
I can't wait till he puts them all together and releases that as his next movie.
Yeah. All right. So let's do the numbers. So,
wait, hold on. Give me your numbers, girl. Give me those numbers, girl. Give me your domestic number. Give me your weekend number. Give me your international number, girl.
Yeah, right. The beat was totally unnecessary for that.
I know, but you had to have it in there.
So
you didn't hear it, Cole. There was a beat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The budget.
Great job.
Thank you.
The budget was $10 million, or estimated around $10 million. I don't have the exact opening weekend.
Did this got a wide release?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty limited release, but it still did have a run.
Yeah.
So I have the domestic total, I have the first run, and I have a worldwide, which is not much more than the domestic. I also have the opening weekend, kind of. I have the opening weekend number of tickets.
What?
So because it was at a film festival.
Okay.
And I have opening night and then the following evening. The opening night, it had 25 people.
Cool.
And the following evening, it had 24.
Wow.
And then the producer of the film and everything, the distributor guy, he fought for it to be moved to like midnight releases, and it gained a following. It was an instant like cult status hit, and this was up with like the Rocky Horror Picture Show and stuff like that. Those style midnight movies, and that's where it found its audience.
Yeah.
Okay. So
smart.
So the first run, it ran for over a year in that kind of thing.
Okay.
And what do you think the box office was?
Cole, do you want
to take a stab?
I think I should abstain for this because I did see it in the Wikipedia article.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Fair enough. Well, you could do like I like to do. If I do see the number, I act like I'm guessing, and then Chase is like, "What? How are you doing this?" You could do that.
I have a little thing called integrity, Bryce.
Bryce.
I don't know what that word means.
Bryce does not have that.
I'm gonna guess it made $1.5 million.
No, $22,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was a bomb.
Yeah. Well, domestic
box office poison.
Like that was its like first real run, but like the total domestic gross for all of its theatrical runs, I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's $7 million. So it
still didn't make his money back.
Well, we don't really know how much it cost. Things get lost in the shuffle with something that lasts 5 years. Like at that point, you're not making any money back. That's not the point.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I do know that overseas it made almost $1 million. It was like 97,000 or something. So
well, it made its money back in
heart,
in the way it impacted future movie makers.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's the next segment?
We got to get a rating.
So I'll go ahead and go first. So because this is Cole's first time, I'll show him the formula or whatever. Show him to show you how it's done.
Show you how it's done.
I would give this out of 10. Out of 10. Vagrant children that bring heads to the pencil factory to have erasers made out of them.
Didn't even talk about that yet.
Yeah, which was also hilarious. Out of 10 of those, I would give this movie 9. 9 vagrant children that bring severed heads to the pencil factory to have erasers made out of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Cole, you want to give us a rating?
Yeah, out of 10 limp arms, I want to give it a. I'm also gonna go with the 9.
Nice.
It's very solid.
9
limp arms.
Double
9 limp arms.
What would you give it, Chase?
Out of 10 squished sperm by a moon-faced broad living in my radiator, I would give it 9. Yeah, go ahead and give it a 9.
Trey 9s.
When I'm watching it, like a 7. After the fact, a 9.
What do you think about it?
Yeah,
I get that.
It's one of the. It really sticks with you, and it makes you think about it. Even when I was like trying not to think about it, it was just like I'd be sitting there watching Private Practice, and my brain would be like, "Why are you watching this and not thinking about what you saw on Eraserhead?"
Right. Yeah.
So
it wasn't it a really cool reveal though to see that the sparklies at the beginning of the movie were the shavings of the eraser?
Yeah,
that was really cool.
I mean, all of the
it was just great.
The weird what do you call that? Superimposed things of like the faces floating through the world or through the space, like all that stuff.
Yeah,
so weird looking and so cool,
but jarring and great. Sticks with you. And then we would go around and do worth it or worse shit.
Worth it or worse shit.
Cole?
I think it's worth it.
It's good.
There we go.
Yep. I think that's goes
unanimous.
all around.
It's good.
Yeah.
Wow, you hit like 3 times.
Yeah.
I heard it. All right. Well, that wraps it up. Other than, I mean, I don't even know how to do a reboot.
How do we recast this? I don't know. Cole. I mean, Shia LaBeouf.
Just Shia LaBeouf. It plays and the little creature is played by Haley Joel Osment.
Of course. Now. Yeah.
Can we Medea? Can we like Medea with Shia LaBeouf? He plays all of the characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
He plays all of the
characters
characters
except for Haley Joel Osment.
Except for the baby.
I think that's the way to go.
He has to kiss himself. He has to give himself and light his own comatose cigarette, which is just the best thing. Is when the grandma they light her cigarette and then totally ignore her, and then for no reason. We cut back to her at one point.
And the cigarette's all the way down, and she's still
and
just
then we
sitting
just
there.
Cut back.
That also spooked me a little bit. That was
the whole
spooky.
thing is so weird and creepy and neat. I mean, it's just a neat movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could go forever, but unfortunately, I was late today, and Cole has somewhere to be. But we do appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're definitely going to have you back.
Thanks for asking me.
Preferably, maybe next time we'll do one that's not so out there.
Yeah, I saw the lineup like, they've been watching Fargo, Misery. I'm ready for a fun movie.
Eraserhead.
Eraserhead.
Yeah. But again, for some final plugs, Cole, you want to plug your all your outlets that you want to drive traffic to?
Yeah, Passed Away is at Passed Away Comedy on Facebook. We stream live sometimes. I'm at Spooky Ghost on Twitter.
It's four O's or 3 O's?
It's 6 O's,
6
my dude.
fucking O's. Oh my goodness.
Couldn't get spooky. And that's not just for Halloween. That's my permanent handle.
He's living spooky.
It's same Spooky Ghost on Instagram, BopBop64 on TikTok, and BopBop on YouTube. And I'm done.
And we will put up some links to that in the descriptions on YouTube and on Anchor and everywhere else, as well as check out our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at the Movie Gap for information about us, as well as Cole and TikTok.
Yeah, follow us on TikTok at the Movie Gap. We're on TikTok now. Sign of the times.
Yeah, and until that's everything, right, Bryce?
I think that'll be it.
All right. Well, we will be coming back next week with Citizen Kane, and then we'll be heading into some more Christmas movies.
Yep.
So look out for that. And until next time, Nom in space.